Hi. As a faculty in the School of Medicine, I often get this question from the students. Right from the first prof, second prof, what should be the approach to entrance exams? Which entrance exam do we really prefer? How to study for those exams? How to approach for those exams? If there are abroad-based exams, then how do we prepare for the visa? How do we prepare for those exams? What are the resource materials for them? So, for all these queries, I thought we have an excellent person who has recently cracked the PLAB exam, Dr. Nikhil Kadam, and he has been my student. So, I thought, wow, he will be the perfect guide for those students who want guidance in this regard. And therefore, with that, I requested Dr. Nikhil Kadam that to have a small tete-a-tete, a small chat, a small interview regarding his experiences, how he approached towards those exams, what were his experiences in studies, about the visa, about health system over there, and all the other things. So, with that in mind, I requested Dr. Nikhil Kadam to have a small interview, and we will just see that interview, how he has beautifully described his journey into that exam of PLAB, how he cracked it, and what are his future plans. So, I hope you will like this interview. It will be useful to you.
Okay.
Hi. Preparation of any exam takes a lot of efforts on the part of student. Then an entrance exam will take lots and lots of efforts. These questions always come up as to which exam we should prepare for, which exam is best for us, which exam we can crack, and how. So, some of these questions can be answered by the expert himself. We have got Dr. Nikhil Kadam today with us. Let's have a quick chat with him. Although it's an extensive discussion if we sit for that, but we will have a nice quick chat about his experiences when he was approaching the exams and how he cracked the exams. Welcome, Dr. Nikhil Kadam.
Thank you so much, sir.
When did you complete your MBBS?
I completed my MBBS back in 2018. I completed my internship in January, and after which my convocation happened by around February of 2018.
Okay, and when did you actually decide that you will prepare for the PLAB exam?
I decided by the end of my internship because taking the clinical experience that I needed during internship was very crucial for me to exactly know as to how medicine actually works on field, because before that I had only just seen medicine through the books. So having that experience was very important for me, and after doing my internship, I made my decision to do PLAB.
Okay, but was that decision very easy to be taken, like whether NEET or PLAB or PLAB or USMLE? All these decisions are not easy, I guess. So what made you decide on which to exam appear for?
Oh, it was definitely not a very easy decision, because these are huge major life decisions that you'll be taking, and it's not just regarding medicine as to you'll be doing a post-graduation here or in the US or in the UK, because along with it the other life changes also do come, because it's not just your hospital or your home, it'll be a complete shift in your life. So it's definitely not an easy decision. So there were many parameters as to which I eventually ended up deciding to do PLAB exam to enter into training, into a specialty training in the UK. So yeah, that's about it.
There is one sub question to this.
Okay.
Once you decided that you are going to take your further training abroad,
Okay.
then what made you think of PLAB over USMLE, or whether UK or US? What was that decision about?
Okay, so to be honest, during my undergraduation, me as a student and many of the students around me, we were only exposed to NEET as the exam to be given after MBBS. And we were also exposed to this exam called as the USMLE to enter into training in the US. UK was something that barely anyone knows about it, and there's barely any awareness about it. So in my undergraduation, I knew about NEET, I knew about USMLE. So and over time, I got to know about UK. So why I eventually made my decision to do UK is because I saw the pros and cons in every decision, in every exam that I would have to give, and I decided to do UK. So now to exactly talk about this is people usually think, okay, should I stay back in India, or should I go abroad, or should I stay back in my home country, and or should I go abroad? So these questions do arise in students' minds during their undergraduation. So the way I answered this question is staying back in your home country is obviously a very good thing because you are familiar with the people here. It's a familiar medical system, healthcare system. You know the local language. You already know people here. You have you've already made contacts, and it's easier for you to get information that is easily available out here. But the reason I chose UK is because the system there is a little more streamlined, and there are already guidelines which are set out how medical practice is supposed to be done. And also because the government pays a lot of attention into healthcare in the UK, because as you know, UK has a welfare, it's a welfare state, right? So the government takes care of the whole healthcare of the people there. So it's a more set system there. So it's easier for me to take my training there in the UK.
Is there any specific place or a site where you actually find this information? Where did you get this information from yourself?
Okay, so to find information, what I did was there are a lot of official websites that are there. So if you want to find information about this, you can definitely go and Google it up first, and you can come across a lot of official websites. These websites are very helpful. They were able to give me a lot of tips and information. And then over time, what I did was I joined a lot of these forums. There were these informal forums that were there online. So I tried to talk to people and my seniors, and these were absolutely random strangers. I did not know anything about them, but they were able to give me a lot of information. Then other way you can do is you can email the official websites. These institutions are very helpful and they want to help people. So don't think that you're just a student, or you're just a MBBS graduate, or you're just a MD pass or MS pass out. Don't think in that way, because no matter what or who you are, these institutions do tend to reply back to you, and they do give you information that you need. And eventually your seniors in your college are always there to help you. So these are some ways, and some people even do write blogs about this. So following these blogs do help you a lot.
So once you've got this information,
okay,
and it's an undergraduate level,
okay,
how do you proceed after that? I mean, what all things are necessary for this? Do you have to have a strong CV to be built up?
okay.
Do you need to have some research papers or presentations or any such preparation needed for these exams?
Okay, so regarding the CV question that you asked, having a strong CV is always preferable, although it is not essential to have it. Because a lot of doctors, the only thing they end up telling me is that they only have a MBBS written in their CV. There's nothing else that they've done, which is not a problem. It's not a problem, although it is preferable, and people would prefer that you have done something else. Like for example, if you've done any kind of research, it will definitely add into your CV. If you've done any kind of volunteering work, or any teaching job that you've done, or anything that says that you've done something other than your MBBS, will definitely add to your CV.
But it's not absolutely mandatory though.
It's not mandatory. And also this one thing that always keeps coming up is that people say that they've done research in one field. So will it be counted if I apply for a training in some other field? Like if I've done a research in cardiology, so will I get into training in ophthalmology? So so people do tend to think that if the research is something different, it won't be counted. But let me tell you, no matter what kind of research you do, research is a research.
Yes.
It's not going to stop you from doing something else. it definitely shows that you have the drive, you have the inner drive to do things and to work in the benefit of people.
Okay, great. There was one more question which I always face or hear from the students. What kind of internship is preferred? I mean, that's a very critical period, I guess, during these preparations for exams or for traveling abroad. So, what kind of internship is preferred?
Okay, so regarding this internship question, a lot of USMLE students, they tend to think or they have this rule that you need to have 30 days of psychiatry training. You need to have 30 days of psychiatry posting in it. Although what the UK or the GMC website says is that you need to have at least 3 months of surgery posting and 3 months of medicine. Now usually the way our internship runs is you have 2 months of general surgery, 2 months of internal medicine. So don't worry about it because OBGY is considered a part of surgery. So it adds up to becoming at least 3 months in surgery, and also other things like pediatrics. It's considered a part of medicine. So you have at least 3 months minimum of internship in these two fields.
Okay, Dr. Nikhil, we would also like to know your stepwise journey into this process. We would be very thrilled and interested in knowing about how you approach this in a stepwise fashion.
Okay, absolutely. So the way this thing runs is once you're done with your graduation and you're done with your internship, what the next step that comes is this English exam, which is called as the IELTS. So this exam, there's no need for you to be graduated. Although once you give the exam and you get the results, the IELTS exam is valid for only 2 years. So what people prefer to do is they give the IELTS just by the end of internship, and then after IELTS exams are done, you get the preferred score. You go for an exam called as the step 1 of PLAB, which is the PLAB 1 exam, and then you go for PLAB 2 exam. After PLAB 2 exam, you get your GMC registration. Like whichever state in India you're working right now or as an intern, you get that state's medical council's license. But after PLAB 2, you get the General Medical Council, which is the medical council of the UK. You get the registration and license. After that, you get what people preferably do is they get into a non-training job. They get to know the system first before getting into training, and then they get into core training, which is for 3 years, which is equivalent to us doing either MD or MS in India. And after MD or MS, which is their core training, they call it the core training, right? At the end of the core training, what you do is you give their college exams. Now, what college exams mean is you must be knowing it by the name MRCP or MRCS. So these are the exams you give. Once you clear these exams, the college exams, you get into something called as the specialty training. Specialty training is nothing but, again, it's DM after what you do after MD. So it's super specialty. And once you're done with it, then you become a consultant.
Yeah, but let's just take one step back.
Okay.
What are the requirements for that IELTS?
Okay, so people about this IELTS exam. In IELTS exam, there are basically 4 modules. The first one is the listening part. Second part is the reading. Third is the writing, and fourth is the speaking part. So these modules are scored out of 9. They start from 0 till 9. So the requirement that you need to give the PLAB. So the reason people have to give the IELTS exam first is to prove that you're proficient enough in English to go ahead and give the PLAB 1 exam. So the requirement for you to be eligible to give PLAB 1 exam is that you score at least 7.0 in each module, but your average should be, in the end, should be at least more than 7.5.
Okay, all right. And one common question.
Okay.
What is the PLAB 1 and PLAB 2? I mean, these terms we often get to hear. So what is this PLAB 1, PLAB 2, and how to approach them stepwise?
Okay, so the way these exams run is, so UK pays a lot of attention in clinical based scenarios. They have a lot of focus on clinical experience of a person. So what PLAB 1 is that there are around 180 questions for 180 minutes. Every question is a clinical scenario. They describe a situation where you're either in a GP, you're in a general practitioner's office, or you're in a accidents or emergency department, or you're in any kind of department. They just set it up first for you, and then they tell you this and that patient has come, and this is the scenario right now. These are the chief complaints. This is his past history. These are his or her lab results. And then once they describe the whole scenario to you, that is when the question comes, and then they ask you what you would do or what you would not do, or depending on that they ask you a question. So this is the basic MCQ that they ask you in PLAB 1. The 180 questions for 180 minutes, and these can be asked from any subject from all across MBBS. And let me tell you, the PLAB exams, they don't expect you to know as much as an MD or an MS pass out would know. Okay. They're just testing what you know at an MBBS level. So even these clinical scenarios, they won't ask you very complicated questions. They'll be only at MBBS level. So don't worry about it. They won't be that difficult as long as you've done your internship well and your postings well.
Okay. But many students ask this question. Once you have taken one track like PLAB or NEET, is it possible to switch over or no? I mean, this is a very commonly asked question. Yes, so I just wanted to clarify that for our viewers.
Okay. People think that...
People do tend to change their minds, and we have now certain that we are going for PLAB. That's fine. But sometimes, once in a while, a student might just have a rethink. Would you advise that, or it's completely no-go?
I would suggest that if a person decides to do one route or decides to walk on a single path, they would stick to it.
Right.
Because once you make up your mind, your mental drive would plays a huge role in you clearing these exams. So once you've decided that you want to do this one single thing, it's better you not change your course midway. Just go through it completely, and then you decide what you want to do eventually.
Yes, that's right.
Because the study differs from every exam. It differs.
The patterns are different.
The patterns are different.
Yes, absolutely.
And one thing that I forgot to mention is that about, you asked me what is PLAB 1 and PLAB 2.
Yes.
So after PLAB 1, you give the PLAB 2 exam, and currently the pattern that the GMC is running is that there are 18 stations. What 18 stations is, I'll break it down for you easily. What it means is that you go in a room where there are 18 different rooms. Okay. And inside these 18 different... 18
different
rooms.
18
different rooms.
Okay, yeah.
And
that's quite interesting, yes.
Yeah. And there are officially 20 stations, but 2 of them are rest stations where you can just sit and relax while you get ready for the next stations. Okay. So what these 18 stations mean is, you go inside each of the room. There is an examiner and there is a patient. That person is an actor. Yes. He's just telling out his symptoms or the complaints that he has.
A simulated environment.
A simulated environment, basically. Yeah. So once you get 8 minutes for each station, and then you try to get the history, you try to examine the patient, you try to send all the lab results and investigations, and then you try to treat the patient. Although it is the question might differ from each other. Yes. Some places it is a purely medical scenario. Some places it might be a counseling station. Some it might be even a breaking a bad news to a person, that kind of a station, or a place where you have to a station where you have to confront your colleague regarding something, or so the stations differ.
All sorts of hospital scenarios.
All sorts of hospital scenarios. Yes. Absolutely.
Okay. And when do you start thinking of a visa? I mean, when is the visa required?
Okay, so PLAB 1 exam that's there, it happens 4 times a year. Mm-hmm. So if we talk about India right now, in India it happens only in March and in November. So visa doesn't really come into picture in PLAB 1 if you're giving the PLAB 1 exam in March or in November. Although if you're thinking that you want to give the exam by going to the UK, which is in June or September, so you'll have to apply for a visa. You'll have to apply for a visa, and the application for visa is not that difficult. You can apply for a business visitor visa, and under which there is a small subsection of PLAB visa. And once you apply for it, they ask you for certain documents they'll ask you for your passport, and it's to get the visa. It's better if you give your bank statements and the place you work at and all the IDs, and you can just give as much proof as possible to show that you're a good, reliable person.
Yes, correct.
So if the officer is content, he'll give you the visa.
Okay, so PLAB 1, PLAB 2. Then what next? I mean, what is the next level of this approach?
Okay, so once you're done with your PLAB 1 and PLAB 2, there is a step which is called as the GMC registration.
Yes.
So I was I was telling you how every nation or every state has their own medical licensing council. So the licensing council in UK is the GMC. So you tell it to them that you have cleared your PLAB 1 and PLAB 2 exam, and then you apply for a GMC registration. They ask you for certain documents. So they'll ask you for a photocopy of your passport. Then they'll ask you for a result of your IELTS exam and the internship that you've done, all these letters, and they'll also specifically ask for a letter from your home medical council.
Okay.
They'll ask for a certain letter which is the good standing certificate.
Okay, and once you've got that GMC registration, what will be then the final step or next step? What would be after that?
Okay,
you're now all prepared for this the switchover.
Yes.
Okay.
So at this stage, the good news is that the biggest hurdle till now is crossed.
Okay.
You've cleared the exams, and now you can really relax in life. And now you can take things slowly, and this is the time where you really have to think as to how the next life is gonna roll over now. So what happens is, people, depending on the time when you've completed these exams, you might be lucky that some of the applications might be open for certain training programs. If they are open, you can apply for it, or till then you can wait and do a non-training job, and you can then later on get into the training program. But before that, let me tell you, the way it runs in the UK is that they have 2 years of internship. Many of the countries, including India, have only 1 year of internship.
Yes.
So to bridge that gap, what people usually do is, so for internship they call it the foundation year.
Okay.
They have foundation year 1 and foundation year 2. So because we have done 1 year of internship, you are foundation year 1 competent. That's what they say.
Okay.
So to be foundation year 2 competent, usually people go and do a non-training job, or they apply for a foundation year standalone training program, and after that they get into training.
It was a pleasure talking to you, Dr. Nikhil Kadam. I must tell you, all viewers, I know Dr. Nikhil Kadam when he was actually not a doctor. He was my first prof student, and I know him for the last 6-7 years. And I can say ever since we met for the first time, that this bright young man is going to achieve lots of heights, and he has proven that my vision, or my perception about him by cracking the PLAB exam. It was a pleasure talking to you, and I offer all my wishes, all the best to you, and may God bless you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks.